Hey students, today we're going to be talking about pronoun antecedent agreement. This is a skill that will be on the PSSAs. And so today we're going to learn about what is pronoun antecedent agreement and what are 6 rules that we use when choosing appropriate pronouns to replace antecedents. Let's begin. First, let's talk about, what is a pronoun? So a pronoun is a word that replaces a noun, and we do this to eliminate redundancy of nouns, using the same noun over and over in a sentence. So I'll give you an example. Instead of saying, Miss Betts woke up and got up into Miss Betts' Jeep to drive to Miss Betts' work and teach Miss Betts' students, that becomes super annoying and redundant. You're like, please stop saying Miss Betts. I get it. That's who the subject is. So we can take out that noun and we can replace it with a pronoun to make it easier to say and listen to. For example, Miss Betts woke up and got in her Jeep to drive to her work and teach her students. Now we have pronoun her replacing the noun Miss Betts. So it's easier to listen to and it's less redundant with the nouns. So what are some examples of pronouns? Her, his, their, our, ourselves, themselves. So we know what pronouns are, but what is an antecedent? If we have pronoun antecedent agreement, what is the actual antecedent? So an antecedent is the noun that the pronoun is replacing. So let's take a look at this example. Harry Potter took his owl, Hedwig, to Hogwarts. Instead of saying Harry Potter took Harry Potter's owl, Hedwig, to Hogwarts, I'm taking Harry Potter, that noun, and replacing it with his. That's our pronoun. So the thing that's being replaced in this sentence is Harry Potter, and so that is what we call the antecedent. The antecedent is the noun that we're removing from the sentence and we're replacing with the pronoun. Easy. So how do I choose the correct pronoun to replace the antecedent? There's 3 things that we keep in mind when we're replacing a noun with a pronoun. So the 3 things that we keep in mind are gender, number, and person. So let's start with gender. When you are replacing an antecedent with a pronoun, you need to ask yourself, is this noun feminine, masculine, or gender neutral? It doesn't have a gender. So for example, if your antecedent is female, such as Miss Betts, then you're going to be replacing that antecedent with a feminine pronoun. Her, herself, hers. If you have an antecedent that is male, such as Mr. Searles, then you are going to select a masculine pronoun to replace the antecedent. So if I took out Mr. Searles and I'm replacing him with a pronoun, I would put him, his, himself. And the last option when we're replacing an antecedent with a pronoun for gender is if you have an actual object, and that will be gender neutral. For example, if I have a pencil, that doesn't have a gender, so I'm not going to say, oh, the pencil sat on his desk. That doesn't make sense. I need a gender neutral pronoun. So that's going to be it, its, itself. Next up, we have number. So if you have an antecedent that is singular, then you're choosing a singular pronoun. For example, if I use pencil, I'm not going to say put the pencil on their desk, on its desk. I need a singular because there's only one. On the flip side, if your antecedent is plural, then you're going to choose a plural pronoun to replace them. They, them, theirs. And the last thing that we need to discuss is person. So if your antecedent is in the first person, then you're choosing first person pronouns. I, me, myself. If it is a second person, then you're going to choose second person pronouns. You, yourself, yours. And if it is a third person that we are discussing, then we would use third person pronouns. He, they, them, themselves, etc. Easy. All right, so what we really need to talk about, because pronoun antecedent agreement can get tricky, is the 6 rules of pronoun antecedent agreement. The 6 rules of pronoun antecedent agreement. Okay, let's start with rule number 1. Rule number 1 is a pronoun must agree with its antecedent, the noun that's being replaced, in person, gender, and number. And that's what we just talked about. So that's the easiest thing. We start with rule number 1. Is it first, second, third person, feminine, masculine, gender neutral, and is it singular or plural? Those are the 3 things we're considering first off when we're choosing a pronoun. The second rule that we need to consider, when and is used in the antecedent, the pronoun that you're replacing the antecedent with should be plural. So let's take a look at an example. What does that mean? The puppy and the kitten. Okay, here my antecedent is the puppy and the kitten. I have 2 antecedents working together here because and is used to group them together. So now that antecedent is plural because I'm talking about 2 things, the puppy and the kitten. So since I have 2 antecedents working together, now I need a plural pronoun. The puppy and the kitten have destroyed their owner's sofa. There is my pronoun. It is plural because I have and in my antecedent and I'm joining 2 things together as one. That makes my antecedent plural. Okay, that one's pretty easy. Let's take a look at rule number 3. When each and every comes before 2 things and is joined by and, the pronoun is actually singular. So let's take a look. For example, each new puppy and kitten. Okay, puppy and kitten. This would be plural. However, in front of it, I have each. So that means each one puppy and each one kitten. Now it has turned singular because I'm talking about each one individually. Each one puppy and each one kitten destroys. I'm not going to put their because I'm talking about each and every single singular one. So here I'm going to put its owner's sofa. If I knew the gender of the animals, then I could use her or his. But if I don't know, then I'm just using it here. Here's another example. Each and every single one, new puppy, kitten, rabbit, tarantula, python, parrot, iguana, and ferret. Doesn't matter how many things I list. If I have each and every in front of that antecedent, I'm talking about each one individually, they're singular. So I need a singular pronoun. Destroyed its owner's sofa. Okay? Cool. So if I just have and used and there's no each and it, each and every in front, excuse me, then it is plural. But once you put that each or every in front of the antecedent, then it is singular. Okay, so that's rule 3. Rule 4, when using either or using neither nor, the pronoun is singular. So if I'm saying either this one thing or this one thing, singular. For example, either Mrs. Connor by herself or Miss Betts brings chocolate in. Now I'm choosing a pronoun, her. Since Mrs. Connor and Miss Betts are both feminine, I can commit to her. If it was either Mrs. Connor or Mr. Searles, then it would be his or her. It has to be singular and also represent each gender if you have both for your antecedent. But here, either or means either this one or this one. So we need singular pronouns when we see those keywords. All right, let's move to rule number 5. Rule number 5, indefinite pronouns are always singular. An indefinite pronoun is when we're referring to an antecedent that is unknown. Everyone, no one, someone, somebody. You'll notice that most of these indefinite pronouns, every one, some one, has one in the word. That should help you. That's like a key clue that shows you that this is singular. So we need singular pronouns. For example, everyone needs to bring blank materials to class. Every one person individually needs to bring, since a class is made up of girls and boys, we're going to say his or her materials to class. A lot of people get these mixed up and they say everyone needs to bring their materials. There is plural, and we're talking about every one person, singular. Another example, no one was late to blank class today. No one was late to, no one person was late to his or her class today. All right, another example, someone was able to sneak blank hamster into school. Someone was able to sneak, not there, some one person, some one, singular, one person was able to sneak his or her hamster into school. Okay, when I'm talking about someone and I don't know who it is, I can't put her hamster or his hamster because I don't know. Is it a girl? Is it a boy? I don't know. So I have to represent both with my pronoun choice. Someone, his or her. Last one, nobody ignores Miss Betts' high five when blank walks into class. Nobody, no one body. Again, singular. Everyone, no one, someone, nobody, anybody. These are singular antecedents. Okay, let's go to our last pronoun rule. All right, the last rule is about collective nouns. So collective nouns are groups of things working together as one singular unit. Collective nouns are singular. It's one team, one swarm of bees, one family, one class. When you have one group, even though there's multiple people or multiple animals in that group, if you have one group and you're talking about the group, it is one, singular. Here's an example. The team won, not there, it's one team. The team won its first game. A team doesn't have a gender. It's a thing, it's an it. So we're gonna use its game. Similarly, the class aced its post-test. Not there, there's one class. So again, a class doesn't have a gender, so it's an it. The class is an it, so we're using its post-test. Similarly, the army defeated its enemy. Not there, it's one army. Now if I'm talking about the group, if I say the team members, plural, then it would be won their first game. So I'm talking about all the members individually. But if I'm just saying the team, it's one team. It's the swarm of bees went to its hive. Swarm of bees. Even though it's many bees, I'm talking about one swarm. Singular. That's called a collective noun. And that's it. That's the last rule. Okay, review. Quick review of the 6 rules of pronoun antecedent agreement. 1. Pronouns have to replace an antecedent based on 3 things. Person, is it first, second, or third? Gender, is it feminine, masculine, or gender neutral? And number, is it singular or plural? 2, when we have and connecting 2 things for our antecedent, this and that, now it is plural, so we should be choosing a plural pronoun. However, if we have rule number 3, each or every in front of that, now the antecedent becomes singular because I'm talking about each one individually. Each one, every one, singular. We need singular pronouns in that situation. When I'm using either or within my antecedents, then I need a singular pronoun. Either this one person or this one person. Singular. Indefinite pronouns, when we're using that as our antecedent, every one, someone, no one, everyone, those are singular. So we need singular pronouns. And our last rule is collective nouns. Collective nouns are groups of things working together as one unit. So they are singular, team, one team, class, one class, army, one army. If I'm talking about something working together as one unit, it is singular and therefore needs a singular pronoun. Okay, so you have a practice today, and this practice goes through each section of the rules. It goes through rule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's chunked. And you're going to be practicing choosing pronouns for each sentence and replacing an antecedent. And you're going to apply the rules that you've just learned. So give it a try, and we'll see how you did. See ya!